Welcome back to Jim's Jeeps. Today we're going to be taking a look at this 98 TJ. Seems that the radiator has a leak, a rather serious leak, and it's not from a hose. So let's diagnose it, see what's going on, and swap it out. Thanks for joining us today. I bought this Jeep used about 9 years ago now. It's a southern vehicle, so it never really had any salt road action on it or anything like that. But the previous owner told me that they had to replace the radiator because the OEM one that was in it, the bottom dropped out. I guess the tank separated. I'm not really sure the whole story. But the story he told me was that one day he was in his driveway and he just noticed that the whole bottom of the radiator had fallen out. So I don't know if that was a poorly made one from factory, or if it was another brand that somebody else maybe had put in there, because he was the second owner of the Jeep. I guess that would make me the third owner of this Jeep. The other thing he told me was that when he went to replace the radiator, he took these two bolts out right here, and that's not good. That's the condenser for the AC system, which actually sits in front of the radiator. You can see it sandwiched in here. It's kind of like a little radiator itself, but you don't need to touch that when you get the radiator out. The radiator is actually held in right here. There's a couple bolts here. You see one about 6 inches down there, and then there's also the same on this side. The fan shroud is mounted to the back of the radiator, so that's got to come off, and those bolts you can actually get out once you take the whole unit out. It kind of goes without saying, common logic would tell you don't work on a system when it's hot. Let it cool off. This system's already drained because it does have a leaking petcock. These plastic tank radiators, they're okay. I mean, in a pinch, I would certainly use one again. The longevity of them is somewhat questionable. You know, if you get one through a parts store with a lifetime warranty, like through AutoZone or Advance Auto or something like that, I guess you'd be okay if you're doing the job yourself. But you know, the plastic tank, aluminum crimped top and bottom it's not that great, to be honest with you. So we'll get these hoses off, and I'll bring you back in just a second. We're going to take the overflow bottle off as well. You can just set that aside. Okay, next we're going to loosen up the transmission cooler lines, which are pretty tight. Okay, I am going to actually take the fan off the front here. It's just going to be easier in the long run, and it should be 13 millimeter or 1/2 inch wrench to do that. I just bumped the starter over to move the fan hub because the serpentine belt is still on. Should be easy to do. Just bump the starter and move a few inches for you. Got lucky. Okay, shroud does have to come off because you can't get the bolts that mount the radiator on until the shroud's out of the way. I mean, you can, but it's, yeah, take the shroud off. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Those have to come out. These have to come out. And don't forget to put your differential vent tube back up on the top bolt. I think I already did. Might have to come out. It's gonna come out. And the radiator's out. Let's take a closer look here. You can see in the lower radiator bracket hole there, it's slotted. The top two are not slotted, so you will have to take the top two out. There's 6 bolts that hold this thing in. See a bunch of crap get stuck between the condenser and the radiator. Of course, that'll block cooling after a period of time. The tank on the bottom, where the transmission cooler lines go in. And the problem with this one is this petcock is broken, and it's wedged in there. And even though there is a rubber seal on the outside, that's more just to keep dirt out and stuff. And so this doesn't seal up anymore. Cracked off. I think probably because of the heat. So near as I could tell, this radiator here is about probably 10 years old. Has an aluminum core. You can see the top where the plastic tank is just literally kind of punched into. You can kind of see it here. You can see the plastic tank is just kind of set in there, and there's like a big gasket that seals the top and holds the top and the bottom tank on. The bottom's the same, a little bit different, of course, but same technology. It's all just kind of rolled over. Like I said, they're okay. It'll get you by. You know, this one lasted about 10 years or so. The core itself didn't leak. I mean, I will say that, but of course the petcock breaking off is not a help to anybody. So let's get out the new one. I'll show you what I got. Okay, what I found is a CSF radiator. They are an OEM manufacturer. I'm not sure that they actually manufactured OEM for Jeep or not. I do know they manufacture for many other brands. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about this, so I probably shouldn't even say, but I think Delphi made the Jeep radiators. I'm not sure about that. But it is a 100% brass tank and a copper core radiator. All metal. And we're going to put it in now. Okay, now we got the tank installed, the radiator installed just fine. We got all 6 bolts back in. Installation is exact same as when you took it out, except in reverse. Now I got the shroud back in here. There's 4 bolts that hold that on, kind of like these body bolts with the pointy nose on them. We'll get the top one started so we can get this lined up. And then we'll run those down. If you have AC, you're going to notice that the piping for the condenser kind of be in the way. Is what it is. You can work around it. It's not a huge deal. You might need a couple wobbly extensions, that kind of stuff, but should go back fine. That's a tight fit. And this one, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one here. This one I might have to do by hand. It's 11. A lot of people complain about replacing a radiator, and I think if you've owned a Jeep long enough and you've done any cooling system work, you know that this thing loves to collect air bubbles in the various passages. And if you didn't know, I'm going to show you, if you don't have a vacuum airlift device to put the coolant back in, I will show you a cheater way to kind of burp the system and not have to worry about that. So you can, I don't know that you get all the air out, but you'll certainly get enough out that it won't cause you issues. I see a lot of people online saying, oh, it didn't cool, I put it in and I'm on the highway and it's, it doesn't cool the Jeep down at all as far as, the coolant temperature and everything like that. You probably have a big air bubble in there, and air doesn't cool very well. So chances are that's what was going on with those particular reviews. I don't know for sure. It's just an educated guess, I guess. But if you have what seems like overheating problems after you install a radiator or really any device in the cooling system, chances are probably pretty good that you have air trapped in the system. And this is somewhat of a closed system. It is a closed system, so you got to get the air out or it won't go anywhere. It'll eventually maybe find its way into the top tank of the radiator, but maybe not. So I'll show you how to take care of that when we get that far. Carefully feed the fan back in here so we're not hitting anything. Take your time, you don't want to bend those new fins. Get it back up on its little perch, and we'll put the nuts back on. Okay, now the fan is all bolted back on. We will get our overflow bottle snapped back in, put its connection up on the radiator here, make it nice and snug. And we're ready to pressure test the system now, make sure both the radiator and the hoses and everything are in good shape as far as any holes or air leaks or anything like that. Let me get the leak system set up, or the leak tester set up, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, you've seen me use this set before. It's both a fill and a pressure testing device. It's an Astro 5885 or something. I'll post it in the description. It has all different fittings for all different cars and everything like that. Okay, I got the lift device all hooked up here, and it's been actually sitting here for 5 or so minutes. I had to change a battery in the camera. And it's still up at the top of the green arc right where I stopped it when we vacuumed out the system. Now what we're going to do, I think I can disconnect that to keep it from hissing. What we're going to do now is hook up the lift pipe, lift hose to the bottom here. And we're going to set up a bucket and put 2 gallons of coolant in the bucket. You don't want to run out of coolant. If you run out of coolant, you're kind of hosed. You have to either evacuate the system again, or you certainly have to vacuum the system again to get the air pockets out with the system, such that you'll draw the coolant in. So you don't want any air going up the fill hose. It's got to stay underneath the liquid. Okay, I'm going to call that good. If you can look too, all the hoses are collapsed. There, that large one there is collapsed. The one on the bottom is collapsed. Heater hoses, they're smaller diameter. I guess they have enough integrity that they won't go collapsed. It's back in the stand. I'm gonna get this guy below the water line over here, and very simply, I'm gonna turn this on and let it draw the coolant back into the system. I can see the hoses expanding, which is good. It's exactly what they're supposed to be doing, drawing all this coolant in. Okay, so on a Jeep, if you don't have one of the airlift systems, what you want to do is take off this top heater hose right here. And that sits, the end of that pipe that comes off the thermostat housing sits just about at the highest point of the engine. So when you take that off and open that up to being an air gap, you can really get all the air out of the engine core. And also, because you're equalizing the pressure of any air that's up in the top part of the engine, it'll allow the coolant to flow back from the bottom of the radiator as well. So you're really kind of killing two birds with one stone there. There may still be a small bubble in the radiator or in the heater core when you do that. However, that is a super small capacity core, and it won't be much if there is any air in there, because this thing circulates, because the water pump turning circulates the air or the coolant continuously through the heater core, and that should take care of that bubble as the engine would run at operating temperature and things like that. So if you're having problems after you replace your radiator with overheating, chances are very good that you're going to heat stress the engine. Now these engines can take a lot, the 4.2 and the 4.0. I mean, it'll probably take it for a while, but you're probably going to eventually end up cooking a head gasket or something like that, possibly crack the block if you don't pay attention to the bubbles and things in your cooling system. So super happy with the quality of this radiator. It is definitely just like OEM. They are a little bit more, probably $150 more than the knockoff plastic tank aluminum core ones, but you get what you pay for. The other ones, like I said, they're okay. I mean, they'll hold up for a while if that's all you can get your hands on, or if that's all you can afford right now, or whatever. But you'll probably end up doing the job again in a while. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Jim's Jeeps, and we'll see you on the next episode. Any questions or comments, please post them below. We'll see you next time.